Hey friends, have you ever had this moment? You walk into a room, and before anyone even opens their mouth, you've already sensed that something feels off. A slight twitch at the corner of someone's mouth, an unnatural pause, or the way their shoulders drop just a little differently than last week. In an instant, you know this person is not okay today. You're usually right, but even you get unsettled by how accurate you are. Other people call it a sixth sense, but deep down, you know it's not some mystical gift. It's a survival skill you were forced to master as a child. Slowly, painfully, the same way scar tissue forms. Today, I want to talk about something real from psychology. Trauma intelligence. The sharpest, most perceptive people walking among us didn't learn these abilities in school. They developed them in emotionally unpredictable environments. The kind where moods could shift without warning. They were often labeled too sensitive, too anxious, or too much. What Tay didn't realize was that those painful experiences had quietly built one of the most powerful perceptual systems in the human brain. If you've ever felt like your mind works differently, always scanning, always predicting, always 3 steps ahead in every conversation, this might be the first time everything finally makes sense. Let's break down the 7 clearest signs of trauma intelligence. Get ready. Some of these might hit hard. Sign 1. You read people with an almost unfair level of accuracy. Someone walks in and, before they speak, you've already clocked at a micro-expression, a forced smile, a subtle shift in posture. You're not doing cold reading or parlor tricks. This is deeper. It's instinctive. When children grow up with emotionally unpredictable caregivers, the brain adapts for survival. Psychologists call it hype. What started as a necessary radar for danger never fully turns off. It follows you into every room, every meeting, every relationship. It makes you exceptionally good at reading people, but it can also make you see threats where there are none. Sign 2. You feel the truth emotionally long before you can explain it logically. You sensed a friendship was ending weeks before any obvious fight. You felt the shift in a relationship before the difficult conversation ever happened. When you tried to explain it, the words never quite landed, but your gut feeling was right. Trauma neuroscience shows that intense emotional experiences are encoded differently in the brain. They bypass the verbal, logical centers and get stored directly in the body. That's why your nervous system often knows the answer before your prefrontal cortex can catch up. What looks like irrational intuition is actually a sophisticated, body-based form of knowing. Sign 3. You have an unusually high tolerance for complexity and moral ambiguity. Most people crave clear endings, obvious villains, and neat resolutions. You understand that desire, but you've also made peace with reality. People are full of contradictions. Someone can love you and still hurt you. 2 opposite things can both be true at the same time. Growing up in an environment where the person who was supposed to protect you was also the source of fear forces the brain to develop advanced cognitive flexibility. As philosopher Nassim Taleb wrote, fragile systems break under uncertainty, while resilient ones adapt to it. Without anyone teaching you, your mind built itself to be resilient. It learned early that life doesn't sort neatly into black and white. Sign 4. Your empathy is so deep, it sometimes overwhelms you. It's not polite, surface-level sympathy. It's the kind where someone else's pain lands physically in your own body. A stranger's story on a screen can make your chest tighten. You sometimes struggle to tell where your feelings end and theirs begin. This is called emotional contagion, the unconscious mirroring of other people's emotional states. While everyone experiences it to some degree, those with trauma histories feel it far more intensely. The same hypertunement that makes you great at reading people also means you absorb their emotions more deeply. The upside, you can connect with others on a profound level. The downside, you can end up carrying weights that were never yours to carry. Sign 5. You self-sabotage right when things are about to get good. You work hard toward a better relationship, a great opportunity, or the life you actually want. Then, just as it's within reach, something inside you hits the brakes. You pick a fight, pull away, or convince yourself it was going to fall apart anyway. You leave before you can be left. Psychologists call this self-defeating behavior. It often stems from a distorted window of tolerance. If safety and stability were never the baseline in your childhood, your nervous system can actually register calm as danger. The quiet used to be the moment right before everything broke. So your brain tries to regain control by destroying the good thing first. Sign 6. You can't stop asking why about everything. Why did they say it like that? Why does this situation feel so familiar? Why do I react this way? Your inner monologue runs like a non-stop analysis engine. Most people reserve this level of reflection for a philosophy class. You live it every day. This is a well-documented aspect of post-traumatic growth. Adversity forces the mind to search for meaning in chaos. Viktor Frankl, who survived concentration camps, spoke about humanity's deep need to find meaning in suffering. The mind that once had to make sense of the senseless becomes exceptionally skilled at seeking depth and understanding. Sin 7. You are extremely self-aware, yet you still repeat the patterns. You can name every trigger, trace every pattern back to its origin, and explain your behavior with crystal clarity to a therapist or close friend. And then you watch yourself do the exact same thing anyway. This gap between knowing and changing is one of the most painful parts of trauma intelligence. Awareness is not the same as healing. Insight alone doesn't rewire the nervous system. Real change happens through repeated new experiences of safety. Experiences that slowly teach the body it no longer needs to stay on high alert. If any of this felt uncomfortably familiar, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive or too anxious. You are carrying a superbrain forged in fire, a set of abilities that once kept you safe and still give you rare strengths today. But these strengths also come with real costs. Exhaustion, over-responsibility, and old patterns that no longer serve you. Awareness is the first step. Real change comes from gently updating the system with new safety, new experiences, and consistent practice. That's why I've put together a practical bundle in the description and pinned comment. Simple, structured daily guides for emotional regulation, stopping overthinking, rebuilding safety, and creating better patterns. Nothing overwhelming, just tools that actually work for minds that tend to run 3 steps ahead. If your brain feels constantly scanning and exhausted, I genuinely hope you check it out. One last thing. To everyone who recognized themselves in these signs, I see you. You weren't a problem child. You were a child who turned pain into perception, chaos into insight, and survival into depth. Those hard years didn't break you. They built a mind that can see what others miss, feel what others numb, and hold complexity most people can't tolerate. Now it's time to let that powerful radar work for you. Not just to protect you. You deserve gentleness, especially from yourself.